every day it's very important to me that my son sees multiple profiles of emotions from me so that one day he doesn't have just one idea about me. Oh man, daddy was always upset. Right? That's my fear. Daddy never cared about what I thought. Daddy always just told me to be quiet. Right? Like, yeah, sometimes you got to shut the fuck up. That's real. But other times I want to know what you're thinking. Right? I have to give him a balance. And my fear is that he doesn't recognize that balance, or I don't do it well enough, and that one day he doesn't appreciate it. And so maintaining and controlling and managing the emotions that I show, that I live in and that I sit in is very important, because it molds what my child thinks of his own upbringing when he becomes a man. You know what I'm saying?
What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Fatherhood Village Podcast, the official home for proud fathers and mentors. I'm Dayo Holloway, as always, with my brother, Kev Hick. We are your TFV hosts. Kev, what's good? Tell me something.
Oh man, I'm chilling, brother. Trying to grow out this beard. It's not my natural look, but I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh, nah, you in there. You sharp, man. For sure. How the family? How everybody doing?
Well, man, no complaints. First grade is very interesting for my wife, that she's now a first grader all over again, because she has to homeschool my son right next to him for the whole time. Because kids aren't as independent as they would like them to be on computer, home learning. So she's created a little classroom for him, and she's basically sitting by him for the 4 or 5 hours. They're, however many hours they do in this first grade. And she's notably stressed about it, and irritated, because for a plethora of reasons, So besides that, though, and COVID stuffing us all in the house, and, we're doing well, man. No complaints. It could always be worse, and we got a lot to be thankful for, So we just thankful and getting by. You did.
Absolutely. That's what's up, man. We pretty much on the same tip with the homeschool process. The wife's at home taking care of a lot of that, but she's also a full-time student online. So she's trying to balance that, and I have some time off work to help, but that's not always going to be the case. So yeah, she has she full-time student. So I'm trying to allot her a lot more time, and remind her that is her highest priority. Like we'll figure out the kid thing. We'll fit it in however we can get it in. And, we'll teamwork that out. But things are great, man. Things are great. The year is coming to an end, man. It's already the end of September. It's kind of dwindling away. And then obviously the election is at the end of this year, and it's a lot of things surrounding that. But that's another topic for another day, man. But
all right, Dale. So before we continue, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Let's Get Checked. Listen, fellas, low testosterone can cause muscle loss, erectile dysfunction, reduced sex drive, fatigue, obesity, and symptoms of depression. So if you're having trouble making gains at the gym, putting it down in the bedroom, maintaining adequate energy levels, staying lean, having mood issues, you could in fact have low testosterone. I can say from experience that Let's Get Checked makes getting tested easy with next day delivery. You just receive your test, send it off, and get your results in 2 to 5 days. Get your testosterone levels checked today at trylgc.com/TFV. Again, that's trylgc.com/TFV. The coupon code TFV gets you 30% off in the checkout. As men and as leaders, we got to be fully functional out here. The array of home health test kits available from Let's Get Checked makes staying on top of your health easy. So check it out, guys. The link's in the description. Now let's get back into this conversation.
But yeah, man, what's up, family? Thank you for spending a little time with us, dropping through for this episode, the 26th episode of TFV. Today, we're going to be talking about controlling emotions. You understand, and not taking life too serious. We don't want to extend this episode too long, so we're gonna jump right into it. Kev, what are some things that kind of trigger you as a father? What are some things that may have an outside influence on you that may affect how things are happening at the home? Is it happening vice versa? Are you yelling at people out in these streets because things is not going so well at home? What's the status at the house, man? How do you handle certain things?
I think the biggest tool that I've discovered for me in controlling my emotions and just kind of keeping an even temper. Not that I've ever really been out of control. You know me. I've always been kind of cool about everything, but I'm a very passionate person. So just because I'm not wearing it on my face doesn't mean it's not there, right? But the biggest weapon I've had against it, just getting out of control emotionally and making sure I stay even keel, is gratitude. Actually, gratitude is the way I transition myself from anger or frustration or even malice to peace, to harmony, right? I always try to remind myself of what I'm thankful for. And, I'm a proud father. Obviously, this is the fatherhood village. I'm extremely proud of being a husband and a father and a good one at that, So for me, when I do get upset, I remember what matters more than anything, what matters most. I remember what I've overcome and what my family's overcome, and it's been something that keeps me in check. And again, when things are getting on my nerves, particularly at work or a place that I can't control, I will remind myself of the things that I have controlled and I have controlled very well, right? The things I'm proud of, but I'm also very grateful for my sons, my wife, my household, our finances, the things that I've accomplished for my family, the things that they won't have to go through that I went through simply because I was in my place and I did my damn job. So
Mm.
that's kind of how I manipulate, the worst days of my emotional relationship with the world. But man, I just take it one day at a time and remember what matters.
Right, right. The same. Yeah, quite the same for me. Um, yeah, like I said, things can, just tip over the edge a little bit, and things could be suppressed for us individually. And, your children, your wife might say something that, just hit the wrong button at the wrong time. And the conversation goes in a different direction. You come off aggressive. You're not conveying your message well, and they take it in a different context. So um a lot of times I try to, when I have the time, like for example during the commute to work, um a lot of people ride with music playing in their vehicles, a podcast, they're on the phone, uh different things of that sort. I like to just remove all distractions. I like to sit in peace and quiet, and just calm myself, meditate, think about things that are on my plate, think about things that I don't give a lot of attention to, think about my weaknesses as a father. And maybe not every trip, but a lot of times the deeper I get into my own little mind, I'm like, okay, these are some of the things I laid out previously that I wanted to do, for my son, for my daughter. What did I mess up on? Uh, what are some of the things that they're telling me, like, Daddy, I want to do this, Daddy, come play, Daddy, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, what did I overlook? What did I not attribute a lot of attention to? Why am I feeling like I'm too busy? Am I managing my time? What's getting a lot of my time? What's getting a lot of my emotion? So some of these things that I can either answer to at the time, some things I need more time to think on. and think of ways to create and produce a solution. But yeah, I take those little pockets of time that I'm given, like the commute to and from work, and just kind of get in my own mind. I'm like, okay, let's unpack some things, and I try to return home with a different mindset, with a different attitude. If I left the home kind of uneasy or disturbed about some things, and normally that does it for me, you know. Um, and like I said, in the moment and off the cuff, I try to, say my kid, I don't know, spilled juice all over the floor, water, or, knocked over something breaks or whatever. I try to like stay silent and not even react.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't even say nothing, don't do nothing, and just let some time pass. Just, you know what I mean? Let the moment kind of pass you a little bit,
Yeah.
that initial moment, you know what I mean? And that helps. That helps for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you could be so snappy and so quick to say something and let out that aggression and be frustrated. And the more time you take, at least for me, the more I'm like, you know what? It ain't that bad. That's cool. Don't even worry about it. It's all right. Or at least I'm not yelling. At least I'm not uh too aggressive and now they're crying, and now it's I don't want to create a bigger problem and blow things out of proportion, just because I didn't take time to assess it, filter
Mm.
it, process it. You know what I mean? Sometimes we got to be delayed. It needs to be some
Yeah.
latency sometimes in how we process things.
That's a good
uh
point.
yeah, and just to keep things in perspective.
You mentioned a really good tip that I would hope people don't miss because this is something I do. You were talking about just enjoying the quiet and going over the job you're doing as a father, going over the job you're doing as a man, as a husband, and even on your job and just all of these different things. That alludes to the thing that I do. The second thing that I do after I've tried to apply gratitude to my day, into my day, so that I can be calm and kind of balanced. The second thing I do is when I do get that quiet time, because I seek that out as well. A lot of times I'm not in my car listening to nothing. It's just silence. I
Hmm.
like the quiet. But when I get that quiet, I do like to plan. Plotting and planning is the second biggest thing that I do outside of try to insert gratitude into my day. I plot and I plan and I build blueprints in my mind about how I'm going to attack the issues of my life, not just issues, but everything, right? Piss poor planning gives you piss poor results, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. There are a slew of cliches about the importance of planning, and so for me, I take that opportunity and I love to plan in the car. I come up with the greatest ideas in the car and in the shower.
Right.
So what I always do is I map out how I can fix, like you said, my time. Why do I feel so busy? How can I cut back on the time that I'm not having control of? How can I increase the time that I'm spending with my sons and my wife? How can I make more use of the time that I have to be productive? All of these things. I get so excited to find the answer and give myself a solution to a problem that even if I am stressed out, once I found the solution and I've committed to the plan, I'm excited and I'm happy. And now I have fervor instead of frustration, simply
Mhm.
because I've taken that quiet time and I've planned with it and I've used it productively. So that's a really good point you made. And I just didn't want people to, slip by that one without realizing what that was, that goal right there.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you mentioned the time in the shower. That's another one. And
Wasting
sometimes
all the hot water.
I do. When it start to, get a little cooler, I'm like, I didn't pass my little time limit. Um, but yeah, so that pocket of time as well. It's a lot of times in the morning, like we have enough windows in our bedroom. I don't leave the bathroom door open. I don't have the lights on. It's really dim. The lights are low, and it kind of puts me in a different state of mind in a low lit area. To, like I said, to help with that meditation and that forethought. and get your faculties together, man. Like I don't, I listen to enough podcasts. I don't listen to music as much as I used to. Um, and I'm very selective with my music. But yeah, just using those different small pockets of time, like I had just said, and using them wisely, because obviously with a child, with children, your time is limited. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And those little short windows of time aren't guaranteed, aren't promised. So definitely use those uh, to your advantage to get ahead in all kind of ways, and it starts with your mental state and your attitude toward different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What are let me see. What are some, like, the number one, like, pet peeve, or the number one pet peeve, I should say, that, like, is hard to avoid, them seeing or feeling the wrath of what I'm saying? If it's one thing that really, like, what, that really eats at me, and I
I,
still gotta work on that.
I'm pretty slow to anger, but two things I can think of, two very frustrating things for me. Well, I have a 6-year-old son, and sometimes he has an idea to do something that seems fun, but it's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. And when you look across the room and he's on his head, or he's flying towards his head, or toward a wall, or, some crazy like that, like that, it's very difficult for me to control that, because that emotion is fear. It's not anger, it's
Hmm.
fear. And
Yeah.
for something to happen to him, I'd be out of control. So, in that moment, I don't control myself. I need him to understand that shit just got real. But the other thing that I find myself battling against is, when I see if he has a disrespect for the authority, of his mother, or me, where he's, willfully disrespecting, or intentionally misbehaving or disobeying. Like, that is a problem when there's an intent to disregard what's being told to you. That's challenging for me. What I normally do is I deliver whatever discipline or punishment before I get to the point of anger, right? When I'm still in the irritated zone or the frustrated zone, but not in an emotionally invested place. And that helps, because I don't want him to take on very much trauma with this discipline, but I do need him to understand that discipline will happen. And, but I don't want him to be traumatized by it at the same time. It's a fine art to, discipline a kid, and not creating new issues, in the way of disciplining them. So for me, it's just about trying to make sure that uh, I've controlled enough through my actions, through my consistency, that I don't have to yell, I don't have to say a thing twice. You know what I'm saying? And when my wife said, "Hey, I'm gonna tell your daddy," that means something. So
Hmm.
I ain't gotta watch him willfully disrespect or disregard his mom or anything like that, because he understands that consequences will take place. But really, I separate my emotions from whatever I'm doing with my son, unless they're happy emotions. If we're just having a great time and he's in one of those "I love you, daddy" moods, I'm completely emotional, because it's the greatest thing that anybody's ever said to me. You
Yeah.
know, to have the love of a child that you haven't quite earned, and don't know if you could ever really earn it. It's an amazing gift. So, it's such an honor to be a father. Uh,
Yes.
it makes me emotional, but I can run with those emotions. I want to feel everything that those emotions have to offer. But as it pertains to the negative ones, I'm very, very filtered about what I expose my son to. He's cool seeing my frustration, but I don't want him seeing rage. I don't want him seeing anger. I don't want him seeing me vindictive or vengeful. So there are a lot of things that I don't really express in front of him. And I'd much rather, like you said, say nothing and do nothing at that time, because it would be better than causing damage by doing too much. You understand?
Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Those two instances that you brought up, man, I identify with that so much, man. That resonates uh, with me, man. The fear for their safety, like that's like top tier. That's like number one. Like, and they don't understand that. They don't know the inner workings and as far as what's dangerous, what's not. They just having fun. We just out here, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, doing kid shit
And it be
to
some
the 10th
deadly
power.
shit.
Yeah, like, do you know how many places your neck can break right now?
Oh my God.
You know how many teeth
Yeah.
you can be missing? Like, man, yeah, that's one thing I don't think I could ever overcome as far as like my reaction sometimes. It's hard to, taper down. Uh and they've learned it. And then maybe some of it is me kind of overreacting. Some things may not be that dangerous, but it's just I don't want nothing to happen. I don't want them to, get a scratch on them a lot of
But
times.
but it's that awareness though. You need
Yeah.
them to be aware. So even if it ain't really like if they got away with it, no, because you want them to understand that shit could go wrong and
Yeah.
start using that awareness to make their decisions with it, because kids can be very mindless.
Mhm.
And when you go into anything aimlessly or mindlessly, you risk a lot of harm. And so sometimes it's not even about, whether or not a bad thing happened or anything like that. It's like, yo, that could have happened. That could have went this way. You
Yeah.
realize that there were plenty of options that God could have chosen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now you could have
There's
been
there's yeah, there's no
permanent.
risk assessment at all by the
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah. You could have been permanently disfigured with that game of tag you were just playing. But, thank you, God,
Oh,
for sparing you.
yeah. Oh, one thing that so a couple rules in the house. Actually, like the number one rule for kids, which is almost like oxymoron, no running. But there's a designated area for that. We have a
Mhm.
playroom downstairs in the basement. I'll let some of it go when they're headed that way, but when they're just circling and lapping and tagging and all that upstairs in the living room, that's like the chill zone. We reading books, we doing puzzles, we doing stuff quietly where the adults, chill out. You know what I mean? Maybe you on your tablet, maybe you playing with something that make a whole lot of noise, right? But yeah, so running, because that leads to a lot of accidents and mishaps and injuries. You feel me? So, and another thing, my second rule of many, but the two biggest ones, the second one being stay out the kitchen. Nobody in the kitchen. Get your ass up out. You ain't cooking nothing. You ain't old enough to wash dishes. You know what I mean? Y'all not old enough to really prepare you a meal. I mean, there's sharp things in here. There's things that are hot. There's doors opening, oven door. It's just so much going on that
Yeah.
you have no place in here right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you
Yeah.
asking me a quick question or bringing me something that's broke or something I need to make happen at that time, you out here. And
Yeah.
they know, and they try. You know how kids, they try all kind of excuses of why they in there. Oh, daddy, my ankle, see it right here. See, you know what I mean? So they try everything. But those are like the two biggest ones. And you also brought up kind of like that defiance
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I hate
and
that
have,
shit.
and then like I said, some of the things like the audacity they have, especially with their mother. Cause she tells
Yeah.
me all the time, she like, I wish they acted like that with me. I'm like, what you talking about? You know, like everything is magic, when I'm around and they do things when told and they don't have a whole lot of lip with me and they don't back talk and I don't know. She gets, everything going in the opposite direction with her. But like I said, that it's our job to make sure that doesn't continue to happen.
And it's
We
our
can
job to amplify her voice, you
Yeah.
know, and make sure that when my son try that shit, that dad, can I da 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 da? I say, what your mama tell you? That shit, do that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do that right
Right.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But whatever she said, it's important for us to support her so that they understand we are in a united front. Because if they see any chink in that armor, if they see any separation from of ideas, then they understand that they can just put you against each other and y'all be scrapping each other, and they'll still be having a good time doing what the hell they want to do. Y'all too busy, fighting each other to look at what they got going on. So it's really important, man. Kids learn to manipulate the parents and the different parenting styles from a very young age. It's an intrinsic intelligence. They just born with it. So it's important that you always support each other, in front of them. But yeah, man, that defiance, that shit there, that gets me in a different place because I just always imagine my son being too old to be defiant, and then
Mm-hmm.
what does it look like? You know what I'm saying? Like now we have to have a real altercation. So and I don't want to imagine my 6-year-old at 16 or 17 or 21, but that's where my mind goes. Well, shit, if I let him get this off here, then we're gonna be dealing
Yeah.
with this, and he's gonna have a mustache. When he's six, when
He
he's
gonna be
six
smelling,
three.
yeah, feeling himself, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We can't have him 6'3" like me talking the same. You know what I'm saying? Being defiant. Now I really gotta have a fight with this little
now
boy.
he a man, and I gotta
Right.
handle you.
Right. So my biggest fear is falling out with my son when he's of age. I think that is like a super fear of mine because I can appear to be very rigid and non-emotional, and he's really emotional. And so if I'm being honest, like that is the biggest fear that I have about my fatherhood style or my parenting style and just my personality in general. I don't know how to put down the facts to pick up your feelings, right? I can be diplomatic, I can be accommodating, I can sympathize with you, but that does not change the facts. And being a father, you have to operate on what needs to be done, not how we hope things feel. And I just hope that at one point, he just, remembers how much I've done for him, how much I love him, because there will come a day where he's like feeling more than he's thinking. And on that day, I'm going to need to have given him enough discipline on these willful and deliberate disobedient days that he's a little bit too nervous to do what he would like to do, or disrespect his mom or do some grown shit that he can't come back to the house for. So,
Mhm.
uh, you know, he's 6, man. I got time. I'm just gonna try to enjoy this time, but you got to get this shit together now because they do grow up. And if you didn't get it together, you will have hell on your hands, and I will have a big ball of hell because he's going to be a large person like I am, and I just don't
Yeah,
want to have those types of problems. So it's important that while they're cute, you get in their ass if necessary, so that when they're not so cute anymore, not only don't you have to do it then, but the police and other authority figures in the world don't have to put them back in line when they get out of line.
exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's man. I mean, enough of what I have to handle as a father while they're this age, just to fathom them 10 years from now. That's wow. That's
I
beyond me.
Yeah, I can't put the big picture thinking down. That's kind of one of my things is that I think my personality type is like super balanced. All of my personality quizzes come back literally 50-50 or 25-25-25-25. Like no matter what, I'm almost dead even. So the gift of that is that I'm a big picture thinker and I can also see the details,
Mhm.
which makes it very difficult to make decisions for me and very difficult to move at a fast enough pace for most people because I'm always weighing more options than most people are even considering.
Mhm.
Not because I'm special, just 'cause that's my personality, and that my thoughts about fatherhood, are no different. And I see my son at 21, and I try to keep that image positive, and I hate my dad. Me and my dad don't get along, or because that's the fear, right? The fear is that you've done this much work, you've sacrificed, you've given everything you had, and then your son or daughter looks at you one day and doesn't understand what you've done for them and don't appreciate what you
Mhm.
sacrificed. So that I understand that my way of being in general can provoke somebody to be more emotional because I don't appear to be very emotional. So
Mhm.
I'm learning to love my son in the way that he accepts and in the way that's natural enough for me that I don't have to fake it with him. And so he sees the array of my emotions from happiness to frustration, the curiosity, the sadness, the joy, the peace, the tranquility. I try to give him the whole gamut because I don't want him having a single image of me. I think some of us as parents get in such a routine that our kids start to see us one way because our routine dictates that we have to be that way to get through the day.
Mm.
So a lot of single mothers, for instance, and they shouldn't be single, but I'll give you this example. A lot of single mothers that have multiple young children are often really on the edge because they have a lot of young children, right? And they have these deadbeat dads that disappeared and make things hard for them. But those children grow up knowing mean mommy because mommy's always on edge. Mommy is always in a hurry because she's always late because she always has too many people to take care of and not enough hands to do it with, and that becomes what they remember of their mom. But boy, my mom was mean. Boy, my mom was tough. I mean, they might remember that she worked hard and stuff like that too, but that's their experience. And so then they take that paradigm and they go traverse life molded by her anger, right? Every day it's very important to me that my son sees multiple profiles of emotions from me so that one day he doesn't have just one idea about me. Oh man, daddy was always upset. Right, that's my fear. Daddy never cared about what I thought. Daddy always just told me to be quiet. Right, like yeah, sometimes you got to shut the fuck up. That's real. But other times, I want to know what you're thinking. Right, I have to give him a balance, and my fear is that he doesn't recognize that balance, or I don't do it well enough, and that one day he doesn't appreciate it. And so, maintaining and controlling and managing the emotions that I show, that I live in, and that I sit in is very important because it molds what my child thinks of his own upbringing when he becomes a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, you brought up a very interesting point and very important one. So not only do we have to be mindful and cognizant of our own emotions, but how much are our emotions inflicting on them and vice versa? Because a lot of times, kids can be emotional, like you said your son was. And how does that affect us? What's our reaction to that? Are we saying, hey, man, you know, tough through it? You know what I'm saying? Fight through that. Nah, you all right. You good. Get up, brush it off. Like, are we, not being sensitive enough to their emotions? Or is there a balance? Or do we know our child well enough to know, okay, it's time to, pay a little bit more attention to this? Let's dissect this. Let's go a little further. Let me, because I'm in a rush, I don't need to make my son or my daughter, in that same, short period of time. So,
Mm.
yeah. So, like I said, we can definitely do a lot better with that because I know I'm at fault when it comes to that.
And we can also just try to remember that, and we've witnessed it enough times to know at this point, there's no one size fits all answer to similar issues with children. We've all known dads who always tell their kids, no matter what, dog, shake that shit off. You'll be all right. They grow up thinking that their dad never cares about their pain or the things they go through. They grow up thinking that I guess no one gives a fuck, so I'm gonna just go on and handle it in this weird way that I would teach myself how to handle it.
Hmm.
You know, or we've all known parents who are because I said so, and that's that angry because I said so is their answer to everything,
Hmm.
right? And so they grow up feeling dismissed and shouted out, shouted down over, and it's very very important that every single issue, every single thing that comes up gets at least a consideration of how to be dealt with, how to be addressed. Because I said so might be a great answer for one situation, but it might be a terrible answer for another situation. Shake that shit off might mean something on the soccer field, on the basketball court, on the football court, or football field. That's an appropriate answer. Forget your ass back up and play the game and don't cry, but fix it. Do something better. Make yourself proud. Like that's an appropriate answer, but shake that shit off is not an appropriate answer if somebody has threatened your kid or if they're getting bullied, and they need your sensitivity. Like there are different responses and different levels of emotion that you need to reach and be able to share with your child And part of managing your emotions is being able to also put yourself in the same emotional place as your child when they need that support, to let them know that you are in this with them and you support them. But if they live alone in their emotions and they not only can't express them, but they don't see them being mirrored from you and they don't see you being affected by their emotions, it sometimes trains them that their emotions aren't important, and then they grow up with self-esteem issues, feeling overlooked, and feeling disregarded as people and subhuman. So it's very, very
Mm.
important that, again, everything has to be dealt with as an individual occurrence, as an individual. There's a metaphor I always like to say. I don't want to talk too long, but the metaphor is, if you're a hammer, then everything looks like a nail.
Now, yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And sometimes as fathers, we have one way of doing things because it's efficient, and that's how we do everything. We have one way of talking to our children, and that's how we always talk to them. We have one way of dealing with disagreements with them, and that's how we always deal with it. And we stifle their growth emotionally if we have not exercised the full array of not only our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but our own emotions, trying to avoid getting into certain places. So, again, balance is key.
Exactly. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, man. Definitely ended that topic on a good note. Excellent. So yeah, family, ask yourself the same question. What are some triggers? What's really pulling at you emotionally? How is your emotion affecting your children and vice versa? So definitely some things to think about, to wrap your head around. Um, and family, we appreciate you for sharing this time with us. Before we end this episode, I ask all of our supporters, all of our listeners, if you could leave us a review, rate us on your most used app. We definitely appreciate it. I see a few of us have already left some comments so far, and I wanted to take the time to thank you sincerely. It means so much to us, and we definitely want to spread our message and get more people listening to this podcast. So, as always, it's your TFV host, Dale Holloway. That's Kev Hick. Peace and love.